to read about it. And if you want to elaborate why you find it fascinating, let's go over that real quick.
It's okay if it is a subject, not a technology.
Anything. It could be a subject, um, data ethics for you, Zena. That's awesome. What have you read about data ethics
In,
lately?
in fact, my dad has motivated me to read about it. He watched a documentary on Netflix, and he told me that, Zaina, do you know that your job is not that ethic and you're harming people? Maybe you don't have the intention to do it, but you're not having the right practices. So please try to do some efforts and try to read about it and what would be the go for steps to do your job more ethically since you love it. And I was like, okay, that's a great idea. And I shared it with my team at work. And I told them, hey, look, we'll have a team meeting if you want to join in on Discord. And I invited my dad, and he tried to speak about it. And we decided now in my company to work more and more on data ethics, like models explainability, what are the practices to do while collecting data, clients' data, even employees' data, and even while getting through the whole pipeline, what are the best practices to do. And it adds a lot of work for me because I will be the responsible the responsible for it. But yeah, I'm just getting more and more excited about it. I'm reading a lot of articles, like, and it's just insane. There are practices that we would do intentionally, and they are harming others. And so yeah, I think this is a pretty good subject. And if there are
Awesome.
any people that are interested in it, please contact me on my LinkedIn so that we can exchange together.
I have a article that I've read, and it's made by the Alan Turing Institute, and it's called "Explaining Decisions Made with AI." So it's probably something that you would enjoy reading too, Zena. And
Please share it with me.
yeah, it's
Share
on
it.
my Google Drive. I'm trying to find a way to share it if you guys are interested. It's not too long of an article. It's 136 pages only, um, maybe less.
Uh,
Um,
share it. Share it. You are ruining my Sunday, but share it.
awesome, awesome, awesome. Tom, I know you have a question, so good
Yeah,
morning. Hey, Tom.
let me interject. Sorry I was late. It was something weird with our last class thing. I took over as host. I think it messed up my connection. But glad to see all of you here. Guy did a great job on his lecture for the last class. We introduced some assignments coming up. Watch the class chat for some stuff I said in there. I want to point something out. Greg, thank you so much for these last couple of weeks, and we're excited to have you keep going. Just some quick changes. We know nobody likes to hang up, and yet we have other lives. And so the steward team, in consideration of everyone, thought it would be wisest to limit our mentoring session time. And yet we're a very social group, so we don't want you to feel like we can't keep going. For those that need to get off but don't want to miss something, what we're going to do is have an after party each week. And so we'll have the mentoring session go for an hour, but in the after party, try not to give away too many gold nuggets that you aren't willing to share when you come back at the beginning of the next mentoring session. And again, I know we'd all love to meet 3 hours a week and don't like to say goodbye to each other, but it's just a consideration of the fact that we have lives outside of this. This is part of our life, of course. And so the after party link is pinned it's called Perpetual After Party Channel. Another thing, I want to make this the last Saturday that we use the ultra stinky, sucky Zoom chat app. I hate Zoom chat. So I will create a mentoring chat channel in our integrated MLAI work group. That way we can carry on the chat in there. And for those of you that are so graciously writing amazing posts about what we do here each Saturday, it'll be easier for you to capture that than this Zoom chat. In fact, it'll be there. You know, you want to go capture it because we're using free Slack and it will roll off. But yes, please, Chantanil.
I'm pretty sure, like on Microsoft Teams, if you do this whole meeting, then the chats do remain back.
Well, and they will. Our chat will remain here for Slack too, if we do it on Slack.
Yeah.
But the nice thing with Slack is you can react to each other's comments. You can encourage each other's comments. There's no way to do that here in the Zoom chat, and then it's harder to track what was said in the Zoom chat too. But I don't want to take. I was late coming on, and these were important announcements. I don't want to take any more time away from the brilliance that Greg is sharing with us, but we'll also have some new exciting things to announce next week, and I'm really glad to see y'all here. I'm going to go on mute and listen to Greg now.
Awesome, awesome. Exciting times. I just pasted a link for you guys. I made it, public to anyone who clicks that link. So see if you can download it or save it to your drive. But it's the ethics, is the explaining decisions made with AI. I love to read those things because I like to have, big bird's eye view on how AI is used in the world and how it's affecting the world and how to make sure that we can explain decisions. So I thought it was pretty interesting. And at some point, I'm going to make it unavailable again. So if you could just save it to your own drive, that would be cool. Kim, you did mention that it's working. To give you, Tom, a little bit of background, what we started with today, I've asked everyone to put on the side or on the note here on the comment section, what have they learned this past week in regards to data science or AI? And Zena started with ethics as a subject she started digging into. So that's why we're talking about this. Continuing here, I noticed a couple people putting something. So please be mindful that I might call upon you to give us a little bit more about what you've learned and why you're interested in it, or what you find interesting in what you learned this past week. Kim, you asked, was it the social dilemma? So you're speaking about I think is it a Netflix show?
Social dilemma. Yeah.
I must confess I haven't seen that one yet. I need to check on it.
I was obliged to watch it.
Wow.
Once
That's
and
pretty interesting.
my dad was like super super upset about it because he was thinking about good things, only good things. So I think, I made my kids watch it, and this is very good because like this, they would be conscious of the double-edged technology and know how to use it well.
Manpreet, you have a question or comment?
No, I just wanted to add what I learned this week to your question.
Yeah.
So this I work for 2 hours just to realize that, I just need to change the data type. And it was like wasting a lot of time, but it was a good learning as well. And I went to some session where I won this personal branding course. So I had a talk with him on Saturday, and he analyzed my LinkedIn and told me, how do you do personal branding? What is its importance? How do you post? So it was a good learning this week in that way.
That's good. That's awesome. If you have like a little, if you don't mind sharing that, maybe a little bit of a bullet point big takeaways that you could share in the Slack that probably will help the rest of us. If you don't mind sharing that, that's awesome. Thank you. Shentanil, so not specific to data science, but I learned about why in what of business, then read about the value proposition model. Very, very, very important, right? Which is relatable to data science too. You wanna talk a little bit more about that, Shentanil? And I think this is something that, especially value proposition, right? This is something we don't talk about enough, or I don't read enough about it when it comes to becoming a data scientist. What does it mean, value proposition? You wanna?
Yeah, I will try to. So basically, what I was interested in the past few weeks is trying to understand the business point of view of how data science works and how all these pieces work together, because everyone nowadays is only working on the programming side, not understanding the business side as much as we want. So that is when I started going through some of the business foundations of how things work and not. And when I came across this value proposition model, what it's basically was made for example, was a marketing campaign or a sales campaign where you need to first understand who your intended audience is, how they behave, and then create and then how you need to pitch in how your product is able to solve their problem in the best possible way. And I made the connection with data science, being that the data science is also kind of doing the same thing, because in the end you need to solve problems specific to the businesses or the departments or the persons that are working out over there. So when you are working as a data analyst or data scientist, you need to understand what value you are going to add by writing that program or by writing that model that you are doing. And you need to sell it out, or you need to properly package it in a way so that the business stakeholders or the top management people are able to understand in the easiest possible way, because they don't want to hear all the intricacies of what you are doing in the model. What they want is they need to see that it's either bringing them profit in terms of tangible returns or in terms of people terms. So that is what I learned this week from the value proposition model.
That's really amazing. I really like how you summed it up, and very well said. To any of you, you might have experienced that before when you're in the middle in a room with business leaders or executives. It's always about, especially when in the time of brainstorming, you have to have a clear explanation of what is the current state for that customer, what are their pain points, and then always ask yourself, what do you propose as a solution for that problem? So it's a very, very important section, at least an important aspect that you need to hone in, and that's helping you also with your communication skills, which is much needed, because again, you will hear it all the time that business folks really don't care about the technical piece. They want to understand, how is your solution going to fix an issue, or how is your solution going to go after an opportunity? Vikram, you mentioned federated learning. What have you learned on that sense in that part?
Nothing as deep. I just went through that Cassie's course. In one point, she mentioned the importance of federated learning in collecting the data without uh, interfering the users thing. So I just went on to do that thing. So nothing as important as I can share. Just go
Yeah,
ahead.
federated learning is quite interesting to me.
Yeah.
Do you guys know about it? Anybody wants to explain what it is, instead of hearing Greg's understanding of it? Or so my understanding is that, so they take a model built centrally, so on the cloud, and dispatch I guess submodels to devices. These submodels are trained on your device, say for example your phone, using your data, and those submodels are averaged and sent back to the centralized the model that's on the cloud. Now, a couple applications that I can think about is you can then that centralized model gets readjusted and redeployed to your device. Couple applications that I can see there is kind of like if you're a hiker, for example, you can use those models offline, right? So because it's being trained on your device. And offline means, say, for example, you're a hiker and you don't have internet where you are. So at some point, that model can kind of tell you how to navigate, maybe. Right? If you want to.
Yes. What you are explaining, it's special kind of federated learning. And in fact, you're explaining more about distributed learning. Federated learning, it's more about the data. It's similar to distributed learning, but it's more about the data because the data it's secured and you don't want to share your local data for training the biggest model. So part of the training it will done on your edge, and then yes, there is kind of synchronizing. It's depend on it's centralized. Then there is a central model, or in knowledge distillation they call it teacher model, or sometimes only you are building on these models that trained on all the edges. So just this is the difference between distributed learning, which is on the structure itself, it's related to structure. Federated learning, it's related to the data. This is the most important part. It's not sharing the data.
Yeah, yeah. And there's something interesting that's happening now is there's also a concern about ethics around that, right? Because people do believe that even if the model is trained on your device, it can still copy I guess the skeleton of your data, right? I don't know how to explain that, but it's kind of, there's still concerns that there could be some data leaks. And with that, I mean, I've read some at some point where they're even thinking about encrypting both the model and encrypting the data to perform the training. I don't know how that works, but if anybody have read about this, we can expand on that. Interesting stuff. So thank you for talking about that, Raif. Ahish, currently learning about how generative adversarial network works. And when I studied the internal working of it, it was very much inspired in how it is based on min-max gain. You want to expand on that, Ashish?
Hi, am I audible? Yeah, so it's kind of my first few learning weeks of data science. Especially, I'm learning about reading research papers based on it. So, generative adversarial networks is basically a machine learning algorithm which generates images. So, what you see right now, it's trending on LinkedIn that we can generate the images of any faces or mock any person's images. So, we can even mock anyone, so you can even mock the face of any president or anyone, make any movement on their face by just doing it on your face. So generative adversarial networks is basically inspired by a minimax game in game theory, which kind of tries to, so there are two players basically. One is known as generator, another is known as discriminator, and both of them trying to play a game which kind of overruns one another. So generator tries to generate images and the discriminator tries to identify if the image given to it is from the data set or from the generator. So it's like a thief police game where discriminator is the police who tries to identify if that was a thief, and generator tries to make up new ways to find out the catch the thief, trick the police. So it was something new that another like different from other traditional models of machine learning, and it got me right, like I was very inspired by how it internally works. Yeah.
Are you looking at a particular use cases that you think that you can leverage this for,
Yeah,
or that
so
you're interested in?
I have been like learning about the few research papers about it, and there's one particular area that have not been explored basically through GANs. Is like GANs are used over images most of the time, and we have never leveraged anything that can be used for a CSV or tabular augmented data. So that part is never explored, and I'm trying to move my way in that particular direction of research right now. So
Awesome.
how can be used in tabular data instead of image data.
That's pretty cool. Now, one of the purpose of this exercise today, guys, is to for us to talk about what we're working on, what we're reading about, to spark some sort of common interest. So if what Ashish just told you guys about, it's something that you want to deep dive also, this is kind of creating a synchrony, right? So you might have been interested in it, you were hesitating to go deep into it. Well, you have Ashish who took the first step already, so maybe you want to reach out to him and learn and grow together. So I thought it could be a good opportunity for us to hear about what we're all working on. Matt, do you have? Yes, thank you, Ashish. Sales QL. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but sounds interesting. You want to talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, it is Sales QL, and I didn't know this tool. Actually, the whole thing came or triggered by Deepa, because Deepa posted this week about her LinkedIn connections. So she made a word cloud out of it. And I was just thinking, okay, how she did. So I asked her, okay, well, how did you get the file? So she explained, because it was really easy. You just go to your data privacy settings and you can archive this whole thing. So that was the first thing what I learned this week. And then I started to check the file, and it is very basic. I mean, if you don't have the premium membership or the sales navigator in LinkedIn, it is very basic, because you get the names. The emails are not shared because of the privacy settings of the individuals, and the company and the positions are shared, I think. So it is only a few columns. But I wanted to check for my own private purpose the location of the people. I just wanted to make a comparison, because honestly, my husband is always saying that there is one country where most of your connections are coming. And I just want to prove that this is not true. So make a chart that, okay, where my connections are coming. And then I started to Google, and I popped in several options. And obviously, I looked for a free option. And this Sales QL is a free options. Although if you want to export the file, then you have to pay for it. But you can download. So I tried it, and I got a beautiful file with all the names. I mean, individuals with all the emails, all the phone numbers, all the companies, even what kind of companies they are, that it is like between 50 and 100 employees are there. What is the name of the company, obviously. Nicely visualized, so not like a CSV like from LinkedIn. And I got impressed one side. On the other side, I got frightened, because it is somehow linked to Zina's question. So how ethical? I mean, we are all sharing the information. So I'm getting the information, you guys, for example, through LinkedIn, but somehow I felt like I sneaking in, because I have the private telephone numbers, I have the mobile numbers of you guys, and the emails. I mean, it was just like a kind of an aha moment that, okay, it's nice to have for my private purpose, but this is mainly used by recruiters for sales purposes, for promotion, for all kinds of things. So these are data what they get free from LinkedIn, and anyone can use it. And if you pay like $29 a month, then you can download all the time and extract it and save it, and you can do whatever you want. So I can call anyone on the mobile now. So I was just, it was just kind of a contradictory, that is it a good thing to do or not? And obviously I'm not abuse it, but what and where my ethical or moral question came, but there are companies, for example, who can abuse, for example, for their purposes. So it is a nice to have tool, but on the other hand, I was astonished that, oh my God, how much they know only from this LinkedIn. And even you know that from LinkedIn, you do not get this information, but there are other tools where you can get it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, definitely things to remember is how ethical those things are, and I'm pretty sure LinkedIn also is exploring, the legal landscape of, allowing those things to be performed. So not my forte, but, I would say tread lightly in if it doesn't feel right, maybe because it's not right. But thank you for sharing something like that. I appreciate it.
Welcome.
You have Martin, Martin, you have Khan Academy training linear algebra vectors. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Well, I'm a beginner, and I did a Coursera course for machine learning, and I discovered that my math knowledge really need improvement and refreshment, and that's why I'm in the middle of it now. And I can tell you this is really a very great course. This course in the form Cell Khan is an excellent teacher, and I like the course, but I have to commit it's really hard working this course to do. But I like the stuff, and I started last week, and I'm in the middle of the course now. So I'm hopeful. I will come to a happy end of this course.
Thank you, Martin. You're doing what I suppose 50% of us typically fail, which is commit. So I applaud you for that. So that's cool. Tom, you have a question?
Just real quick to add to Martin's excellent endeavor. I know Greg and I would both be eager to encourage you, Martin. While Sal Khan is perhaps the best teacher on the planet and perhaps in the history of our Earth, still look at other references. If you feel, especially if you feel kind of stuck on a concept, just start hunting for it in different references. I don't even understand it, guys, but somehow when I get stuck on a concept, and I start migrating outside my current material, all of a sudden it starts to become more. And I can't tell you how many times that's helped me out of a learning hole. So, but Martin, you'll be so glad that you learned linear algebra, and don't feel like you got to master it all at once. But it's a beautiful, beautiful discipline.
Okay.
Super good call. Yeah, that's awesome. Darth, and by the way, guys, I'm going to alert you. You might have noticed that I have an accent, right? So my pronunciation of your name might be not up to par. So I apologize in advance for that, okay? Turf, you have learning the basics of Python and about data viz. Eager to hear what you say.
Yeah, so I just wanted to have a quick recap on all of my learnings of the Python, because sometimes it's like you know things, but you have to recap it again and again to get it on hands every time. So yeah, that was the thing I was basically needing for this learning. So yeah, I did that and some part of the matplotlib library offered by Python, and yeah, that was all I had.
That's awesome. I like Seaborn too, and it's quite a cool tool. So it's great that you're exploring in that sense. So thank you for sharing. Great. Started learning ML from StatQuest with Josh Dahmer. Found it really interesting. Are you here? You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So firstly, I would like to ask anyone over here who has been following this channel or has visited this before. Anyone? No. So yeah, I had done few courses from Coursera of Andrew NG and some others, but I still used to face some problems in understanding the concepts. So one of my friend who has been following this channel right from the days when this channel used to get 5 views or 20 views in a month, okay? And currently this channel has around 18 million subscribers. So the So I would request all of you to visit this channel once and think of the hardest concept in machine learning or statistics which you have came across. Okay, and it might be possible that you didn't get the right answer. So I think from this channel, he puts a lot of efforts in explaining the stuff which are very hard. Okay, the hardest concepts are explained in a very easy manner. So I found it really, really interesting. It's been just 1 or 2 weeks I've been following this. So that's all.
That's good. That's it's truly important to Tom's point is to have access to different sources. So I hope that Preet's recommendation here is useful to you guys if you haven't been to StatQuest. I haven't yet, so I'm definitely going to take a look at it. And I can testify too is that I could read an article or I could read something now, and it's kind of like gibberish to me until one time I would pull something. I don't know if it's about the term the person used that just clicked and creates that aha moment for me. And typically when I have that aha moment, I just, say, hey, let me do a post about that because I get it. But I want to test that knowledge with other people's experience around that subject. Go ahead, Tom.
I find myself becoming a fanatic of certain people. Navina, you were the first person to be brave enough to ask the first question in our integrated mentoring sessions. And you know what, guys? Navina gets us. Because look at that. Who included in probably the most important thing we got to learn, SQL? She didn't include 3 like I would have done. She included 10 links of her favorite places to learn SQL from. And by the way, you probably could find those on a search, but if you capture those, then like we're saying, if you get stuck on a SQL concept, like you're thinking, I really want to understand this particular part of SQL better, now you have those 10 links that Navina's already kind of tested for you. But that's the real spirit of our group, is not just sharing these powerful growth mechanisms, not just following them, but sharing them with one another and reminding each other of them too. Okay, going quiet.
I just have something to say. So that's those are the links posted by Eric Weber, Eric Weber on LinkedIn. Yes, guys, follow him. You will have you will learn a lot from Eric Weber on SQL or data or whatever. Yeah, I request everyone to follow him.
Thank you, Navina. Shantanu.
Yeah, on Preet's word, I just remembered like a channel that I had actually seen. I don't know because a lot of you might not have seen. Have you heard of the channel 3 Blue 1 Brown?
Yes,
if you have not, you should do check it out, because they for Martin actually they make the linear algebra part really easy because they visualize what is going on in a matrix computation and all. Then they made also neural network videos which really cleared my concepts very easily. So I would recommend, if you have not gone, to check them out. Yep, that was all.
Thank you, Shantanu. Can anybody answer this question though? I've been pondering on this for a while. Why is SQL surviving the test of time? Kim?
Because so many people have it. And because it's scalable.
Awesome. Valerie?
Yeah, I was going to say there's so much data in relational databases, and it's the key to getting that, to accessing that data. So if you're working with any relational database, you're talking, your Oracle or DB2 or any of those large databases, you're going to need to know SQL. And also, if you're going after data warehouse data, particularly, you're going to have to know how to pull that data.
Tom? Thank you, Valerie.
Yes, I wanted to give an analogy. I love to think of the electrical age. In case you guys weren't aware, not only does the United States electrical grid suck and it's getting really outdated, it's proved it in this latest big winter storm. how stressed it is. And all the wind turbines you can see as you drive across our beautiful country, and I think those wind turbines are beautiful, they're making it more challenging. So what am I trying to say with regard to SQL? Because it's there. It is the infrastructure of data management. But unlike our electrical grid, it's standing up to all the criticisms that's been thrown at it. Like, well, it's not scalable. Really? Are we having trouble scaling it? And then are we having trouble integrating it with the big data management tools? Now I'm gonna run out of expertise here because I am not a data engineer, and I love the data engineers I work with, but these are just those things you see when you look higher across industries to say, well, you better pray that the infrastructure that gets in place is good and scalable, because if it's not, it's still going to stick for a long time, even longer than it should. But SQL is not hurting anyone. I just want to point that out. So, and it's actually a very elegant language in and of itself. I prefer to interact with SQL through Python or R, like any civilized Jedi should do, data Jedi. But that's my take on it. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Tom. I know before I go to Deepa, Manpreet, I think you had your hand raised. You want to still go at it?
No, just as Tom said, I'm a data engineer at PACT. So when you get data from different resources, so you need to store it somewhere, and nowadays the data is getting larger, so the clouds are our databases, and to access them, SQL is very easy for us. You can even convert them to CSVs and use. And nowadays if you see, Power BI also gets connected directly to your database, so you don't have to create larger CSV files. So even a person who is using Power BI, he also knows how to work with SQL, or person working in Tableau also know. So I think it has been integrated with multiple platforms and made easier for us to store our data. And it's actually very easy. You can put out filters where this is this and this and that, so it gets easy to see your data. That's what I wanted to say.
Awesome. Thank you. Deepa?
Yeah, so I mentioned last week that I was looking at the data analyst positions. So I was just focusing on data analyst positions in Seattle, and I listed out 25 out of that. And SQL was listed in all the 25 job listing. And I was surprised to see that it's not like even now, but SQL is the most sought out, SQL and Python. So if anyone in this group is considering data analyst role, I would say Python, R, and R and Python, it's debatable, but SQL is a must. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. Imanshu, I know you had your hand raised. I don't know if you still want to share what you have to share.
So I worked briefly for some financial companies. So I saw SQL is used by them at a very large scale, because the main reason is SQL is very reliable, and financial companies, they don't go for advanced technologies directly, because they are not very reliable. So that can be a reason for that.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So I know it's already 44. There are quite a bit of things that we've said on the chat here about what we've learned last week. So Tom, you want to?
Real quick. Oh, sorry, I wasn't muted before, and there's background noise. Anyway, a few people, I'm testing this. If it doesn't work well, sorry for talking bad about Zoom chat, but there's some people starting to chat over in our mentor time chat on our Slack work group. If you guys, while we're going through the meeting, can start to try to migrate over there, that'd be great. But I know some of you have single screen systems and it may not work well. So just think of it as a trial period. And back to you, Greg. I just wanted, that was more of an administrative announcement.
Yeah, no problem. Manpreet?
If it's the chat thing, you can download the Zoom chat as well. There's a feature you can download the Zoom chat as well So if it's okay, if people don't get migrate, you can download the Zoom chat.
Good, good. So just I wanted to say, and before waiting for the end of the session, right? I wanted to. I don't know if you guys noticed, right? We're here together and we're learning from each other, and I think that's what Tom and Rife had in mind when putting this together. We're each exposed at certain point, in our lives, with data and understand how it can be powerful to perform different tasks, and we're able to share that with each other and find common ground, or be inspired by each other, or be encouraged to take the next steps. And I'm hoping that you guys are feeling this right now, and hoping that you're learning something different from each other, and see how you can take the next steps
Real
after.
quick.
Mhm.
Yeah, real quick, Greg. Thank you for that. And I just want to, the history is important here. And by the way, I'm going to help everyone because some of the name pronunciation has been my fault. So, Guy, it's as deep a G as you can get. Guy, okay? And then Zina. And that was my fault too, by the way. So sorry for all those mispronunciations. But I need to give some big credit, guys. By the way, thank you for the honor you show to me. But hopefully, I know when you're my age, you'll go, oh, now I get it why Tom was more honored by us. That he was feeling honored to contribute to the future through us. But guys, and you may notice the times where I have to hold back tears is when I talk about my kids. Guys, we would not be doing this if Manpreet hadn't reached out to me months ago, if we hadn't become friends, if she hadn't helped me see what I could do. So Gaik is huge in what we're doing because he's brilliant. But a young, brave woman from India named Manpreet Bhutraja is the bigger reason we're here, guys. So I was encouraged by a young Indian woman. So I just need to give credit to that, guys.
Yeah. Actually, I was going through my Google Drive, and in May, when I and Tom first interacted, so he asked me that why do you want to be part of integrated MLAI? Like, why do you want to write for my blog if you ever want to write? And what do you think you can contribute to? And when I was going through my old Drive folders and cleaning it, I saw it and I shared with him. Do you remember this was the first thing you asked me? And now see, we have grown to so big family. So it was such a good thing. And when I was reading it, I was laughing. Oh, what did I wrote in this? So yeah, a lot of credit goes to all the people for supporting us, and now it's just not us, it's more together. So yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
need to say too, there's some exciting announcements. I'm just going to do this. Manpreet, I'm sorry, I knew you were busy. So I went and asked Greg, guys, we do, the leader of our group is more together. And that's what Greg was saying. We don't want more than everyone else here. We want everyone, when we have more, we want others to have it too. And everything we're doing is designed to give you guys, our family members, more notoriety, more training, everything just to get you, to lift you up. I want to share something with y'all I'm really excited about. I'm still in disbelief, but can I ask y'all to keep it just here? Don't share it outside of our family. Can y'all agree to that, please? So I am shocked. DS Go approached me. What, Manpreet, what?
It's a live stream. It would be on YouTube,
Oh,
so it would be for everyone.
thank you. I'll wait. Oh, I'm so glad you said that. But anyway, I will announce this part. We again, our leader is more together, but the steward team, they're the biggest servants in this community. They're caring about the future kings, as Ashish would call you, the future kings. And so someone who's obviously just been huge for our community is Greg. And we humbly, on our knees, crawled to him on our knees and said, Greg, would you please be part of the steward committee? And he said, yes, excitedly. So not only were we pleased that he said yes, but we were excited that he was excited to be part of it. And sorry to go around you, Manfred. There was a reason I needed to ask him ASAP. And I know you got busy. But anyway, guys, we're grateful for the way Greg steps up and shares his expertise. And it's clear that he was made a manager at Amazon for good reasons. And I'm going to be quiet again and let Greg go back, but I had to correct that history a little bit. Okay, go.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Thank you. I appreciate it. It always feels good to join new families, especially when we strive for a common purpose. So I have Deepa. Deepa, you've been analyzing latent data, huh? And performing some data visualization and web scraping. Ooh, all of the scary subjects here. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I started with the web scraping of OTT platforms. So I was running out of options what to watch next. So that's when I thought, okay, let me put in a list of movies and TV shows that's in Netflix, Hulu, Disney, and Prime. So I was kind of struggling a little bit with what I was intending to get, and then I kind of deviated and thought, okay, how to get the LinkedIn data, but it was quite easy. And so I did a couple of visualizations, and I found that most of the connections I have now are data scientists, and I never expected it. Because I started my journey last year, like by probably fourth quarter of my or third quarter of last year. But I was amazed to see that I have a lot of data scientists in my data and data analysts in my connection. Then I did a word cloud, which I wanted. I was thinking it's something very complicated and computationally very difficult, but I found that it is not. So what I learned from this is, don't be scared with anything or afraid to do something. Because when you don't know something, it is very hard and unachievable in your mind. But once you start doing it, you will find it out one or the other way, because there's Google. You can always ask to. So or we have a lot of people in our connection which you can ask, like this is one group. You can approach to many people nowadays. It's not like probably 10 years back where you have to you're stuck with yourself. So that's one point I want to say, like just explore. And this is one thing I thought I would never be doing it, but I started doing it, and I'm pretty happy that I did it. And next week I'm planning to do, and I'm just putting it out here because I want to be accountable of myself. Next week I'm planning to do some stock analysis. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. You reminded me of something too, is that I try to do something whenever I work or learn something new, is to work with purpose, right? So I ask myself, what is the purpose of this? Why am I reading this right now? Am I going to do something else with it or not? If it's no, then I move on quickly. If it's yes, then good. So in your case, I see this kind of like you're analyzing your network. Good purpose with that is, really knowing who you can contact if you need help, who can connect you to the next level. So whatever you're learning out there, whether it's GANs and how do you leverage that, right? So it's good to learn and do things with purpose at work or outside of work. It really helps you move to the next steps, to the next levels. Giovanna, you're learning SQL, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm so excited because it's cool. So because you said it's a programming language, you said, oh my God, this is going to be hard. But no, because the nice thing is the concepts are the same that we use in the Python libraries. So the concept is the same, but we just need to learn how to use it in SQL. So I have started last week, and it was so awesome that I have covered 2 weeks of the course in just 1 week. So now I'm practicing, and I want to thank everyone. Thank you. And everyone for share these places where to practice, because the most important thing about that is to practice, because it's so cool when you write your script and then you see you retrieve the data and you can see how data start telling you answers to your questions. So it's awesome.
Awesome,
Thank you
awesome. Thank you for sharing, Giovanna. Tom, you have a comment or question?
Real quick, yeah. So it turns out that for work purposes, I had to get pretty decent at web scraping. And, you know, we've been talking about having a midweek tech session because, you know, if we look at our lives as data scientists, the part above the water is our data science work, but we realize that iceberg can't float very high unless there's a lot under it. That's why we spend so much time on resumes, interview techniques, portfolios. What are you learning right now that can help others? That's why we talk so much about the underwater stuff, because that's what makes us better data scientists. But however, we have that midweek focused tech time. I would love to show y'all some tools I used. Basically, if it's easy pages to scrape, you can get away with the Python request library and beautiful soup, and you can just motor and go to town. And that is really fun stuff. But then oftentimes you run into the beautiful language hurdles of JavaScript. And that's when you want to run a headless PySelenium session. And I haven't done it yet, but I'm planning to go back to it where you can run, there's an old term, balls to the wall. It just means the machinery is running all out. I know it sounds crude, but it's really just meant it was a old speed generating system. And it just means it's going all out. When you're running with a Python request library, you can go really fast. But then you have to walk carefully through the web pages a bit slower with PySelenium. So if any of you guys want to kick off one of those midweek tech mentoring sessions, we could do that together. Share screens, share a Google Colab notebook, stuff like that.
That's good. That's definitely a great idea to learn together. I know there are two that are interesting here, and I know we're coming up to the top of the hour. Cyrus mentioned you had a tough week learning regression models in Quintal Ridge, Lasso, and Elastic Nets. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yes, I'd like to talk about it. So I had a really tough week understanding, especially the quantile modeling. But by the end of yesterday, I had to complete a project yesterday, which had to encompass all these regression models. So I really had to find a way out, but I'm glad I did.
Thank you. Avinash, you had a comment?
Yeah, so just like, Deepa mentioned something about the data scientist and all those stuff. What I personally felt like, I work for the industry, which is basically deals with, manufacturing the products for the automobiles and all. And we have a small team of 11 members who are responsible for implementing all those MLDL and AI. So like, I personally felt like, the job descriptions right now nowadays we can see, like, it's kind of a wish list for the companies, and it differs from company to company. But one question which always haunts me is, like, do we need to know all those tools really? And like, what do they think about while they are preparing for the JDs or while posting for the jobs? So, yeah, that's one question from my end.
So Greg, let's pick up on this question beginning of next session. Guy and I are going to end the recording and the session. Guys, please treat this as a pause. We hate to cut anyone off, but we're gonna go to the after party. And what I would ask is that last question sounded really important. You can discuss it at the after party, but please also rediscuss it at the beginning of the next mentoring session. And I'm going to hang up and open the after party link. So see y'all over there. Take care.